So here's the problem. Over the past few years, you've deployed many Ruby applications, and as time has gone by, the libraries they depend on have slowly gone out of date. New versions have come out which contain more features, less bugs, and maybe even some speed enhancements. Up until now, there's been no good way to keep track of your library dependencies across projects. This is where Ruby Tracker comes in. By leveraging the power of the Bundler Dependency Management tool, Ruby Tracker is able to keep tabs on all of your deployments, collecting data about what versions of gems your application is using. With this information, it can generate reports and email notifications so you can keep your project dependencies up to date. Let me explain a little bit more about how Ruby Tracker does this. Bundler provides an easy way to manage your application dependencies. By writing a gem file for your application, you can easily specify which gems your application depends on. Then, when you run the bundle command, Bundler does three things. First, it checks to see if you have all the gems you need installed. Secondly, if you're missing any of these gems, it's going to go ahead and install that on your system. And lastly, it's going to write out a gemfile.lock. This gemfile.lock keeps track of the exact gem versions your application is running. This is the file you'll want to check into source control and deploy on your servers. It's also used by Ruby Tracker to keep an eye on your project dependencies, so when Nokogiri 1.4.3 comes out, you're going to know about it. Now let's go ahead and jump into a real project and see how Ruby Tracker works. Here you can see I have a gem file with two dependencies. I've already run bundle, so I already have a gemfile.lock. These are the only two files in this project, and the only two files which Ruby Tracker needs to track your dependencies. You can see this project is already a public repository on GitHub. I'm going to go ahead and copy the git read-only address so I can paste this URL into Ruby Tracker later. Now let's go ahead and log into Ruby Tracker. Since this is the first time I've logged into Ruby Tracker, I don't have any projects yet, so let's go ahead and add this new project. I'm going to go ahead and enter in the project name, the repository information, and the branch which I want it to track. As soon as I create my project on Ruby Tracker, it's going to start a background queue to look up the dependencies. If I refresh the page a few seconds later, we can see the two dependencies from application and see that my apricot library is slightly out of date. The newest version is 0.8.2. If my application has been on Ruby Tracker for a while, I might have also received an email to let me know that one of my dependencies is out of date. So what do I need to do on my project to update it to the newest version of apricot? To do this in the project, I might go back to my command line and run bundle update. It's then going to go and look for the newest versions of Capistrano and apricot, install them if it needs to, and create a new gemfile.lock. I'll want to check this file into Git and push it to GitHub. Once I've done that, I can go back over to Ruby Tracker, click the resync button, which will force it to resync with GitHub, refresh the page, and there we go. Now all of our dependencies have the newest versions. A couple additional features we have here on Ruby Tracker. We have the ability to add collaborators so other people can track our projects. We can also add a post-commit webhook to our application, so every time we push new code into GitHub, it'll automatically have Ruby Tracker sync our dependencies and we won't have to hit that resync button every time. If I click on one of these libraries listed here in my sample app project, I'm brought to a page where I can see every project that's using the apricot gem. This might be useful information if I'm doing a big upgrade. If I click the projects link on the left side of the page, I'm shown a listing of all of my projects inside Ruby Tracker. Of course, there's only one right now, but if I was managing 10 or even more projects, this would be a really quick way to see all the dependencies that might need to be upgraded across all of my applications. Thanks for watching this screencast on Ruby Tracker. The project is still pretty new, so if you have any feedback, definitely let us know.